All partner transactions are captured using document type identification and transaction type identification. Document determines whether the transaction is journal, receipt or payment, and generate unique voucher number starting from 1 each financial year or if the source document is manually created and transaction is subsequently will allow voucher number to be captured rather generated. Transaction code determines various attributes including but not limited to default general ledger entries. Taxes are applicable for this transaction and what taxes are applicable. Price amounts are inclusive or exclusive of tax. Partner account is associated with the transaction. Most important is whether this transaction requires more than one person to complete. None the one person can complete the transaction. Confirmation by another person for the transaction to be completed. Approval by another person and confirmation by third person to the transaction to be completed. If for one transaction type, it is specified that it requires approval and confirmation, transaction will go through 4 statuses. Being created. As the first person begins the transaction. Created not approved. After first person completes the transaction. Created approved. After second person approves. Confirmed. After third person confirms. If for one transaction type, it is specified that it requires confirmation, transaction will go through 3 statuses. Being created. As the first person begins the transaction. Created approval not required. After first person completes the transaction. Confirmed. After second person confirms. If for one transaction type, it is specified that it does not require confirmation, transaction will go through 2 statuses. Being created. As the first person begins the transaction. Confirmed. After first person completes the transaction. We have seen earlier, financial transaction consist of multiple partner transaction and partner transaction for payment and receipts, has multiple pay-take methods, always has general ledger entries both system generated and manually captured. Most of the transactions will be generated by the business operations. Manually processed financial transactions are non-business operation accounts payable invoices, debit credit notes, receipts, payments. Most of these transactions are with single partner account transactions. Leibniz has around 8 functions to process single partner account transactions based on AR journal, AP journal, GL journal, investment and loan transaction, receipts, cash deposit to bank account, petty cash payments. To enable segregation of duties, even though internally they are the same function. Transaction processing commences by choosing the document transaction code that is to be used for processing. Each of them are described for which purpose the transaction is used for to avoid confusions. First dialog accepts attributes common to all partner transactions under this financial transaction including but limited to voucher date, narration, with option for capture of associated documents. Second dialog accepts partner account transaction details. Partner account no. Amount. Third dialog only for receipts and payment methods of receiving paying funds. Amount. Currency. Fourth dialog manually captured GL entries GL account transaction currency amount LCY equivalent. There can be default GL numbers defined for given document transaction code. You could observe that is document code JRE transcode of pay has the following GL entries. When the transaction processing when the GL distribution is dialog is displayed, these general ledger numbers will be defaulted and user can enter only amounts. Supplier default expense GL account defined, for example telecom bill be debited to telephone expense. Taxes defined with percentage will generate tax GL numbers and amounts based on the supplier credit amount in the partner account transaction will be computed and shown. so that user need not capture any data but view and continue. Instead of GL numbers, income or expense items can be specified for which GL account is specified so that non-accounting person can process transactions. For example, if rates is picked, its associated GL numbers will picked and filled. User need not know main sub-accounts at all. If the GL numbers is defined as fixed asset related income expense, it will request the asset numbers so that expenses by fixed assets like maintenance, running, income generated can be tracked. If the GL number is defined as internal order generated, it will request production order numbers so that manufacturing expenses by production order can be completely tracked. Transactions belonging to most of the transaction types can be uploaded from Excel using standard Excel upload functions. This could be useful when backlog transactions need to processed in larger volumes. Upload transaction from Excel.
Some transactions need to be posted regular. Details of these transactions can captured once and repeatedly generated by system without user processing details. Transaction processing is identical to processing transaction, but will not be posted at the time of creation, but it would be executed periodically. An LY then transaction will be generated and registers updated. Transaction will have the option to specify frequency and start and end date of recurrence.
To handle financial transaction involving more than one partner account transaction, separate function is provided to handle the transaction processing. Mostly these will be processed by personnel with accounting knowledge. First, the dialog will process the details of financial transaction, like the single partner account transaction. Second, dialog will provide facilities to enter multiple partner account transactions, with options to navigate to pay receive transaction for receipts and payments. GL entry dialog for manually captured GL entries. Bank. This function facilitates capturing the transfer details, create a letter, confirm the transfer after getting notification from bank that it has been effected with amounts when the accounts in different currency. Financial transactions processed may have to be reversed if they are incorrect. This function can be used to reverse the effect of the financial transactions that were processed. This function will generate a transaction with the same debit-credit entries. When errors are made, transaction could be reversed and a new transaction may be created from the reverse transaction and errors corrected and confirmed.
Collection report can be generated for summary of method of receipts and can be matched with the physical cash and instruments in hand. Report will also list detail of transaction under each cashier. Cash collections banked can be captured in the transaction processing function using document transaction codes parameters set up for THIST. Returning technically incorrect instruments. This process facilitates indicating the instruments that are technically incorrect, such amount in figures and words do not match, stale checks, unsigned changes, etc. This process helps to hand over financial instruments to the bank to collect funds from drawers of instruments such as checks, credit card, Western Union transfers. Process has process steps. Generating deposit slip is for collectible instruments, that is excluding checks dated later than current date, separate slip for same bank and other bank instruments. In the generation of deposit slip, value date will be computed by the system. If bank holidays are marked in the system-defined calendar. Cancel deposit slips when there is an error or bank rejects some of the instrument and regenerating new slip with only accepted instrument. Confirming acceptance of deposit slip by bank, at which point instruments are marked deposited and balance in instruments in hand ledger is transferred to the bank account sub-ledger transparent to the user. If the bank specifies each check of a deposit slip, System will generate multiple entries in bank account ledger. If not, it will generate single entry in the bank ledger. Reversing confirmed slip if the bank account to which it was deposited was wrong or any other mistake. Petty cash expense can be requested in the system, by the payee, by someone else, approved in the system, payment made by the cashier. This is standard transaction processing separated for segregation of duties. Corporate payments can be initiated by request process for direct payments, not for regular suppliers. Selecting already processed supplier invoices. Manually processed for non-material management purposes such as utility and statutory payments. System-generated liabilities by material management processes of purchasing. Direct payment request is a standard transaction processing function separately identified for segregation of duties. When direct payment requests are made, proposed payment register and check payment register will be updated to assist in the payment processing. Selecting supplier payments can be based on combination of due date set at the time of processing supplier invoices. Supplier invoice selection could be performed several times to include all invoices to be settled. These invoices selected will be included in the proposed payment register and check payment register. A list could be obtained showing the bank balance and payments from the BNAC and the expected closing balance. Based on this or otherwise, amendment for disbursement could be made. Proposed payments could be amended for times amounts against invoices to be paid, that is full or part, only for payments against supplier, times bank from which the payments is to be made. Approval for disbursement could be made. This approval is for cash flow management, not for validity of payment, which would have been made earlier. Processing check payments involves following process steps: generating check, printing the check, reprinting the check that have been damaged, not printed properly, confirming that all checks have been printed, cancelling stale checks for other reasons. Generating checks process involves creating financial transactions for check payments and making the checks to be printed state. Check printing will print the check. Starting number of checks should match physical check. Pre-printed check no will be reprinted just below it to ensure system recorded check number is the actual check number issued. Sometime while printing check leaves may be not printed properly. They may have to reprinted with the new check numbers assigned for each payment transaction. It should be indicated to the system that all checks are printed properly and no more reprinting is allowed. At times, checks printed may have to be cancelled due checks becoming stale for other reasons. At this time, all the updates performed at check generation will be reversed. Bank transfer process involves printing transfer list, making transfers using the online banking system, confirming the transfers. System will print a list bank transfers with the account details of the accounts to which the transfers need to be effected. If the bank has an option to upload transfer list, system will produce a transfer list applicable to that bank. Using respective online banking system, these payments need to be entered and authorized. Payments not transferred should be approval reversed and the other one should be used to generate payments which will generate the financial transaction for payment.